everyone, Rosie here. Welcome back to my channel. The channel where we answer the hard-hitting questions, the things that you have all been dying to know. And today, we're going to talk about why is Tolkien's writing so damn cozy? Before we begin, I will say there are going to be minor spoilers in this. I don't anticipate going into, in-depth discussions of the plot or anything, but I'm also not going to talk about this completely without alluding to the plot. So if you've somehow managed to click on this without even a passing knowledge of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, maybe wait to watch this until after you've seen the movies or read the books, if you're interested in doing that. If you don't care about that, continue on. Also, you've probably guessed by this point, this video is going to contain the word cozy approximately 5 million times. So if you're for some reason averse to the word coziness or cozy, this one maybe isn't for you. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks about this. And I don't know if I've ever noticed it before, but this fall I've been rereading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings for the TolkienAlong, which has been so much fun. And something has really struck me. That something is that Tolkien's writing feels just incredibly cozy to me. I can't describe it any other way. It just, makes me feel all snuggly. Once I realized that, I started to ask myself, why is that? What is it about this writing specifically that makes it feel so warm and comforting and lovely like that? What first threw me off about this is that on the surface, Lord of the Rings is not a particularly cozy book. In The Hobbit, Bilbo is dragged out of his incredibly cozy life for an adventure which is filled with danger and uncomfortable situations, and he spends a lot of the book sort of complaining that it is cold and it is wet and that there is no food and that this is not very nice. And in Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin also, they leave their cozy existence voluntarily, but they leave with the sort of knowledge that there's not really any other choice that they could make. They are facing almost certain doom on a seemingly impossible mission to stop total domination by a Dark Lord, and throughout the entire book, Frodo and Sam are actively trying to move towards the least cozy place in Middle-earth. Certainly Frodo and Bilbo and the other characters as well long for coziness, and they reminisce about coziness, and when they do happen to find some coziness, they enjoy it wholeheartedly. But there's really not that much of it. Much more of these books is about uncomfortable situations and uncomfortable things to have to do. So why do they make me feel cozy? The first avenue of investigation that I went down was to look into cozy writing in general. Were there certain elements of writing that are generally deemed to be cozy that I could identify in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? And not really, because I couldn't find much about what makes writing cozy in general. Almost everything I could find was about the cozy mystery genre, which I enjoy. I like a good cozy mystery, but that's not what this is at all. So, for the most part, that wasn't so useful. Lord of the Rings does not take place in an ice cream shop or a pet store or any cute locale like that. But what it does do is have amateur heroes. So across all of the lists about cozy mysteries that I read, something important that I kept coming across was having an amateur detective so that the reader can relate a bit more. It's just an ordinary person. It's not the police. This is just an ice cream shop owner who happens to solve murders or something. And while I don't think Bilbo or Frodo solve any murders in any of these books, they are amateurs. Neither of them are great heroes. They're not warriors or wizards or anything spectacular like that. They're just pretty ordinary, if wealthy and a bit eccentric, hobbits who are thrown into this world of mystery. So maybe that's part of it. It's having a character that's very relatable and doesn't seem like they belong in the setting either, but I don't think that can explain all of it. Speaking of warriors and wizards, however, even the great and powerful characters in these books at no point are remotely assured of their victory. I mean, we suspect that they're going to win because you rarely read a book about the person who really tried to stop the Dark Lord and failed, but throughout the books, characters frequently reference the fact that they are not guaranteed of success. that what they are doing feels a bit like a fool's errand, and it seems quite likely that they will fail and they will not succeed. But they are going to try anyways. Even if there's very little hope, they're going to continue fighting. I'm not going to get into a long discussion about the themes of hope and despair in Tolkien's work, because one, I would do a very bad job of it compared to all of the wonderful analysis that's already been done. And two, as I said, this has been much discussed. But continuing to have hope even when everything seems hopeless is an important theme in Tolkien's works. And there is a strong undercurrent of battling on through the darkness and continuing to fight even though you think you could never win, because the dawn could break and it could bring change, and maybe you will be successful even though you don't think it's even remotely possible. So that's definitely a positive feeling throughout the books, but it's not exactly cozy. It's almost more motivational or inspiring than it is cozy. Another element I considered was whether it was the incredible relationships we see between characters in these books. At various points, a lot of the characters in both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings display incredible loyalty and tenderness and vulnerability and genuine compassion and caring towards their friends and fellow inhabitants of Middle-earth. And they're not afraid to show it. We see them express things when they are sad or feeling grief. They're not afraid to cry when they're happy at seeing someone they believed lost. They express that joy so clearly. There are so many incredible, close relationships between characters in these books, largely platonic, and it's just kind of heartwarming to see that. What's more, the attachment and closeness between these characters is so convincing. It's so clear that Sam is genuinely just that loyal to Frodo and willing to do anything and go to the ends of the earth to support him and to help him. Weirdly enough, I think it's harder to sell that genuine emotion and those genuine positive relationships than it is to sell more negative emotions or more nuanced or negative relationships. I think it might come down to the fact that it's a lot harder to convey genuine closeness than it is to, say, convey genuine horror or pity or sadness or revulsion. Those are, I think, much easier emotions to drop, so it's even more impressive when genuine love can be conveyed. Another point in favor of the character relationships really supporting the coziness in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is a lot of the other books I can think of that, for me, feel cozy also feature amazing character relationships and genuine affection sort of relationships, so I suspect that might be part of it. No matter what is happening in the world around them, you know that Frodo and Sam are filled with such love for each other. I have to also, however, consider the fact that maybe the coziness of Tolkien's writing is something personal to me, not inherent to the writing. I really associate these books with having them read aloud to me before bed, or seeing them being read aloud to my siblings before bed. And then also, it was sort of a tradition that my siblings and I had, where every March break, when we were in like middle school type age, I guess, we would spend all of March break watching Lord of the Rings extended editions, and then also all the special features. So maybe it's just that in my head, this work and these plots are so tightly interwoven with family and spending time together with family and being cozy that I've got like a Pavlov's dog situation where I associate the coziness with the books, so if I read the books I feel the coziness. I don't know. Also possible, however, is that the writing just kind of lends itself to making you feel like you're 8 years old and tucked up in bed and someone's reading a book out loud to you. I'm not sure. I also have a few final thoughts on why this might be so cozy. First, everyone is wearing a cloak for basically the entire books. And cloaks are really cozy. Have you ever worn one? It's so nice. I'm basically wearing one without a hood right now, and it's lovely. It's like having a little blanket all wrapped around you all of the time. So maybe cloaks just make me feel cozy? Or possibly it's that the Eye of Sauron is sort of like a sun with a spotlight function, and that makes me feel cozy? I don't know. Scrutiny does make me blush and feel warm and nervous, but I wouldn't say it makes me feel cozy, so maybe not. Another thing I've considered is that the mere thought of wearing armor and fighting with swords while wearing armor and running through Middle-earth while wearing armor is just a very sweaty idea, and maybe that's contributing to it. But again, sweatiness and coziness are not the same whatsoever. In fact, I would say it's pretty hard to be cozy if you're sweaty. And my final plausible explanation is that Tolkien was just a cozy dude. Have you ever seen a photo of that guy? He's not cozy in like the fuzzy pajamas way, but he looks like a cozy guy. So maybe that just like infuses his writing because that's who he was as a person. What do you guys think? If you've read them or seen the movies, do you think of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit as cozy works? Am I crazy here? Have you watched this and gone, Rosie, you are literally the only person who thinks of them as like supremely cozy? I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.